Welcome to Breaking Wire. Please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for more updates. In politics, bold statements make headlines. When President Trump declared, "We don't need Canada's lumber," it was meant to champion American self-sufficiency and protect U.S. industries with tariffs. But this declaration clashed with reality, especially in construction. For decades, American home builders have depended on affordable Canadian softwood lumber to frame new houses. The idea of cutting off this supply overnight was unrealistic. Industry experts warned that taxing or restricting Canadian lumber would have immediate severe consequences. The U.S. simply couldn't fill the gap alone. The statement came amid a long-running trade dispute. U.S. producers claim Canada unfairly subsidizes its lumber, making it hard for American mills to compete. Tariffs were imposed to level the playing field, but the housing market was already under pressure. The clash between political rhetoric and economic reality set the stage for turmoil. Supporting American workers was the goal, but the method threatened to cripple home construction. "We don't need Canada's lumber" was about to be tested. The results would reveal just how interconnected the two economies are. The fallout would hit everyday Americans trying to build or buy a home. The U.S. construction industry is deeply dependent on Canadian lumber, a relationship built over decades. Canadian forests supply the softwood ideal for framing homes, processed into standard sizes like 2x4s. Geography matters. Canada's proximity makes shipping lumber efficient and cost-effective. Canadian sawmills can ramp up production to meet U.S. demand, acting as a crucial safety valve. Without this supply, shortages and delays would worsen the housing shortage. It's not just about quantity. Canadian mills specialize in the high-volume framing lumber the U.S. market needs. American mills can't match the volume alone. Canadian lumber isn't a supplement, it's essential for the American construction industry to function at scale. Without it, meeting the housing needs of a growing population would be impossible. A tariff is a tax on imported goods. In the U.S.-Canada lumber dispute, tariffs made Canadian lumber more expensive, aiming to boost U.S. mills. For home builders, this was a disaster. Lumber is one of the biggest costs in building a home. Higher lumber prices mean higher home prices, and builders pass those costs to buyers. Tariffs on Canadian lumber became a direct tax on new homes, making them less affordable. The Trump administration's threat of a 25% tariff, on top of existing duties, alarmed the construction industry. The National Association of Home Builders lobbied hard against it, warning it would hurt affordability and slow construction. Even before new tariffs, material costs were already rising due to pandemic disruptions. Adding a massive new tax felt like a blow to an industry critical for economic recovery. The tariff wasn't just a trade issue, it threatened the goal of affordable housing. The stakes were personal for millions of Americans. The numbers tell the story. Canada supplies about 30% of all softwood lumber used in the U.S. For every 10 pieces of lumber, 3 come from Canada. Of all U.S. softwood lumber imports, 85% are Canadian. Other countries can't match this volume or efficiency. Switching suppliers isn't realistic in the short term. History shows that when the U.S. imposes high tariffs, domestic prices spike. Taxing Canadian lumber while demand stays high means U.S. prices soar. This benefits a few U.S. mills but hurts millions of Americans. The U.S. construction industry can't function without Canadian lumber. It's a structural necessity. Disrupting this flow guarantees price shocks and instability. The U.S. housing market is critically dependent on Canadian lumber. Lumber tariffs aren't just policy. They hit American families directly. When lumber costs rise, so do home prices. Tariffs added thousands to the price of an average new home, pricing out many buyers. Rental housing costs also climb as developers pass on higher expenses. This worsens the housing affordability crisis, making homeownership more distant and rent more burdensome. The timing was terrible. The nation already faced a severe housing shortage. Higher lumber costs slowed construction, making it harder to build the homes America needs. The result? More competition for fewer homes, driving prices even higher. For many, the dream of a new home or renovation was suddenly out of reach. Tariffs became a financial hurdle for countless Americans. If tariffs are meant to boost U.S. lumber, can the industry meet demand? The answer is no. There's a persistent shortage of skilled labor. Sawmills struggle to find enough workers. Many U.S. mills have closed over the years, and building new ones takes time and money. Environmental regulations limit how much timber can be harvested, especially on federal lands. These rules are vital for sustainability but cap domestic output. The industry can't just cut more trees or ramp up production overnight. Tariffs may help U.S. mills temporarily, but they don't solve these deeper problems. Domestic production alone can't build the homes America needs. A stable trade relationship with Canada is essential for the housing market. Without it, shortages and high prices are inevitable. The U.S. can't go it alone. Trade disputes and tariffs have made the lumber market volatile and unpredictable. Price swings make it hard for builders to plan and for families to budget. The solution? A stable, long-term U.S.-Canada softwood lumber agreement. Such deals have managed trade and prevented disputes in the past. A new agreement could set clear rules and stabilize the supply chain. At the same time, the U.S. should invest in its own lumber industry, training workers, modernizing mills, and boosting capacity. A stronger domestic industry would make the U.S. less vulnerable to disruptions. Affordable housing is the foundation of strong communities and a healthy economy. Protectionist policies can backfire, hurting consumers and slowing progress. The best path is a balanced approach, a sensible trade deal with Canada and smart investments at home. That's the way to a stable, prosperous future for all.